So hi everyone, welcome. Thanks so much for being with us today. I'm Bill Callery and I'll be moderating the webinar. I'm a consultant for the Chronic Disease Prevention Alliance of Canada, or CDPAC. For anyone who's not familiar with CDPAC, we're an alliance of Canada's major national health organizations sharing a common vision for an integrated system of research, surveillance, policies and programs for promoting healthy living and preventing chronic diseases. So if you want to learn more, we've included our website and social media links at the bottom and encourage you to visit. And today's webinar is part of an ongoing series of webinars being hosted by CDPAC and the Public Health Agency of Canada's Centre for Chronic Disease Prevention, and is entitled Creating Wellness in Rural Indigenous Communities, One Individual at a Time. Today's webinar is intended to bring together Indigenous community representatives, practitioners, policymakers, and public health professionals to learn about the Be Fit, Eat Right, and Think Well program in Flat Bay, Newfoundland, which supports clients to make manageable lifestyle changes to achieve health and wellness goals. And we're thrilled to have two presenters from Flat Bay, Newfoundland. Our first presenter, Jonathan Bennett, is the Health and Wellness Coordinator at Flat Bay Band and manages the Tajike'k Centre Program, providing health services to over 130 clients. John is a Mi'kmaq from the Bay St. George area of Newfoundland and has a passion for studying health and nutrition. He's completed a Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry focusing on nutrition from Memorial University and a Bachelor's in Business Administration. Jonathan's been trained in proposal writing, has written successful employment and health-related proposals, and provided various services to the Bay St. George region. Jonathan knows what truly drives people to make positive changes and believes that hard work and dedication is the key to success in all aspects of life. So thanks, John, for joining us. Our next presenter is Stuart McNeil, and he's the wellness coach at Tabletop Chiropractic in Newfoundland. Currently, Stuart's involved in operating the Tajike'k Centre in Flat Bay, Newfoundland, which services people from rural Western Newfoundland and with individuals from all across the island portion of the province. Dr. McNeil studied family medicine at the University of Alberta, and prior to that completed his doctorate of medicine from Memorial University of Newfoundland in 2002. Dr. McNeil is a lifelong learner with interests in health, wellness, fitness and sport, spirituality, and the health of the whole person. He's become an intrinsic coach, level 4, healing touch apprentice, and has attended conferences in Eastern medicine, medical acupuncture, addiction medicine, as well as native health. So thanks as well, Stuart, for joining us. And finally, we'll have Danica Burrell, a program consultant in the Partnerships and Strategies Division at the Public Health Agency. And in fact, not finally, but first we'll have Danica, and she's going to be introducing briefly the multi-sectoral partnerships funding initiatives that help support the program being presented today. So thanks very much. Over to you, Danica, for a brief intro of the funding program.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Hello, everyone. The following webinar presentation will highlight one of the initiatives funded under the multi-sectoral partnership to promote healthy living and prevent chronic disease. This approach, which advances in the form of grants and contributions, innovative solutions to promote the health of Canadians and reduce the impact of chronic disease, provides the co-investment needed to test or scale up the most promising primary prevention interventions. Projects must obtain matched funding from non-taxpayer sources, and they must also focus on healthy living and healthy weight, and/or address at least one of the common risk factors applicable to a number of chronic diseases, such as cancer, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. So take it away, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'll start off type thing. We're going to have a little, I guess, changing of seats, or I guess leading of the workshop type thing. So this is Stuart speaking first. As was mentioned, title of our presentation is right here on the screen, Creating Wellness in Rural Indigenous Communities, One Individual at a Time. So, as we say, our program itself is run by 3 individuals who, as I say, I'm just an individual who sits on the sidelines and lets everybody else pull all of their weight type thing. Johnny being the coordinator, we're very lucky to have him along. Shelley White is our apprentice type thing. She came in kind of midway through our program, and she has a background as a, I guess, medical office receptionist, and we joke that the doctor she was working for never had a nurse or anything, so she's very well skilled in a lot of other things as well. So she brought a great deal of information, knowledge, and compassion and love for our clients into our program type thing. So those are our staff that we have working here type thing. As we say, this is a partnership, as Danica had mentioned, of course, with funding from the Public Health Agency of Canada, but initiated from the Flat Bay Band type thing, also known as Nogama Village, and then Tabletop Chiropractic. We had the Diabetes Prevention Initiative offered in Flat Bay previously from 2011 to 2012-13 type thing. From that program, what we found was there was a big interest from the Native people, as well as what they found was that individuals, because living in a rural Native community in Newfoundland and I guess all across Canada offers its own unique kind of challenges, perspectives, but also opportunities type thing, right? So that's what we notice here in Western Newfoundland as well, that those are things that we all have in our back door, the opportunity to get out into our, I guess, land, enjoy nature, see our brothers, our sisters, our animal friends, and those sort of things. But also that offers another unique kind of perspective for people in that, you know, they don't have a gym such as in a big center, so they can go to the gym and get an exercise program, or go to the grocery store and pick better choices of foods for themselves type thing. So in that sense, it was a unique perspective that we have type thing, right? So as we say, you did a great job in trying to pronunciate the word type thing. So right now we give a little lesson in our Mi'kmaq language type thing. So Tajike'k, as we say, is how we pronounce it type thing, right? And so as you can see, the literal meaning of it is he or she is healthy. So the chief of the band had come up with this type thing because in our Mi'kmaq language there is no actually he or she, is just objective type thing. So in the sense is that Mother Earth is healthy, and as Native people and as people all across the world, we know that it's our responsibility to care for Mother Earth. So in that sense, as we say, is that getting he or she healthy helps Mother Earth gets healthy, helps our world get healthy, and then each person as well connects to that type thing. So as we say, the program, of course, is about getting the disease that we have around us to create at-ease societies. And we have an approach that's customized so that individuals have come in with whatever their goals are type thing. We work with them on that type thing, but we also, in the back of our mind, we know kind of what works and what doesn't work in some senses for how to prevent chronic disease, but also, as we say, to help manage people with chronic disease once it's developed so it doesn't progress further, because we're aware of the big drain on healthcare providers, that Health Canada, basically anybody involved in health, about how chronic disease can be a very draining financially, emotionally, physically, basically on all aspects of healthcare providers and support workers as well type thing. So as we say, the system itself came from creating wellness, which was developed by the Chiropractic Leadership Alliance. At the time was that the Chiropractic Leadership Alliance, the chiropractors had their patients coming in, and a lot of the things that they thought was taken care of by the Western medical aspect of things, so doctors and these sort of things, wasn't. And this is a program developed in the United States more so, where in Canada we're lucky, blessed that even though, yes, we pay for our health care and our taxes, we don't have to pay for health care when we go to the doctor's office or go to the emergency in that sense. So they came up with an idea of a multidisciplinary approach where they got kind of individuals from, now I apologize if I don't mention everyone, especially if you are one of those individuals in that field, that's very important that we would talk about, but nutritionists, nurses, psychologists, doctors, I guess specialists in many different fields, chiropractors, massage therapists, anybody involved that had an interest in wellness to come up with an idea of how can we get something that would work to get people making small changes in their lifestyle that have big results for them. So in that, as we said, we came with a mantra which is beautiful, as we say, is be fit, eat right, think well. So in that aspect of things, when we talk about be fit, we know that that's basically, as we say, moving our bodies a little bit more. We're not meant to be sedentary, and now that we know that as much as smoking and stress were such big things for health and wellness before, that prolonged sitting is such a big thing now, our sedentary lifestyle. We talk about eating right and nice all colors of our fruits there type thing. And the other thing we know is that eating right is not necessarily going to be becoming a vegetarian or avoiding every bit of, as we say, treat food for ourselves. It's about making smarter choices that work with our options that we have to eat, as well as realizing certain foods we're going to not put into our body, but also other foods we're going to for nutrition and wellness. And then the big aspect, as we said, we talked about smoking, but stress is such a big thing in our society because there's so much demand on people's time, and not just their time, but their physical demands on them type thing, and the social demands, but also, as we know, that in dealing with our stress in healthy ways, coming up with ways to cope with those sort of things, we're more productive as individuals ourselves. So as we said, we look at it from our approach is to objectively measure kind of our state of health and wellness in 3 dimensions. So what we do is we then, of course, come up with customized services that allow us to make sustainable, individualized behavior changes, which, of course, cause improvement in our health and wellness and periodically reassess and reaffirm the state. What we're going to do, as we say, when we look at that type thing, when a person comes in, we basically come up with it from the point of view of a number of different things. We want to know who they are, tell us about yourself, because as you know, most individuals who are in health and wellness realize that if you are able to pull out the information from each individual, they tell you basically what's going on with them. So I know myself going through medicine and family medicine, one of the things is you need to let your patients talk. Don't keep kind of trying to lead them down the road of what you think their diagnosis is. You let them speak and you give them the time, and that's one of the things that with some directed questions, with the medical knowledge that you have, with your own skills from what you've learned, you come up with an idea of what's going on with that individual, and you help them actually decide for themselves, and that they come up with those decisions and realize, oh, okay, well, that's something interesting for me. As well as we say, if we're doing our assessment, which we have involved with a physical assessment and a questionnaire about what their lifestyle is, and then they make some behavioral changes, well, did this do anything? What's the point of me doing this if I can't see that there's benefits for myself? So yeah, I might notice that I'm fitting a little bit better in my clothes, or that I'm a little stronger, but I also might want to know that, my blood pressure has dropped now, my heart rate's better, type thing. I have more lung capacity so I can do more things. I don't get as winded as much. So that's why we do our reassessments type thing, to reaffirm how they're doing, but also as stepping stones so that, as we'll be honest, not everybody's going to make positive changes, so that individuals who probably, oh, well, now I start to eat a little bit bad, I'm not exercising anymore, oh, well, now I see that I've gained some weight, my blood pressure is creeping up, or any of these changes that we would have that would be kind of not really seen as negative per se, because we don't want to think of that, but not as the most positive changes for their life, to kind of encourage them to say, well, you were doing better before, let's make some changes back to those good things for yourself, right? So as we say, our body itself has its own innate intelligence, and this comes from the Chiropractic Leadership Alliance, as well as from, the thing is too, even Western medicine, we know that, when we're taught in medical school, we're taught about, this is how the body works and functions and those sort of things, but we're based on a sickness-based model in the sense of, this is what the disease is, this is how we treat it, this is the treatment for this disease. But what we all agree on, no matter who we are in any field of, from medicine, from Eastern medicine to Western medicine to holistic health to anything out there, we know that our own body has its own innate intelligence. And that with giving us the medications that we're putting on, or certain practices that we want us to do, or behaviors we want us to follow, it lets our body have the opportunity to heal itself, to coordinate, repair, make those sort of things from that type thing. Our body has that kind of intelligence in itself. So as we say, when we talk about the psychological mind aspect, then that's what we talk about with our think well. We talk about the physical body. We talk about, to be fit, the biochemical, the spirit are the things we're putting into our bodies. So that's about the eating right aspect of things, right? We know that, of course, stress could be positive or negative. And typically when I'm talking to people, I talk about the simple way of that, oh, we got a big exam coming up, and I know that it's coming up in 3 months, and I prepare over the course of those 3 months, over a period of time, and get there and I get to it, that's a positive stress because I'm aware of it type thing for myself. However, if, okay, the night before I realized, oh my gosh, now I got an exam the next day and I haven't done anything, so that's probably a negative stress on our body because we don't sleep that well, we're not going to get that information to be solidified in our body, so that's kind of a negative stress example as I talk about it type thing for people. And so as we say here, we talk about what the creating wellness lifestyle is. So for us, we break it up into kind of 5 main steps, as we say, right? So we had given out kind of this little kind of description, a diagram on the right-hand side where we had presentations we talked about with people that give an understanding of what it was. But as we say, the first step, of course, is to get him to come in to to begin their journey is their assessment. So from that, of course, we're going to get an idea of, well, what they do, who they are, what it is that their interests are, who they are as an individual, because as we say, if we're able to let the person talk and get more information for them, we're going to be able to make better decisions to help them on their road to health and wellness. So the assessment itself is in, as we say, two parts type thing. There's a physical aspect of the assessment where we do non-invasive measures such as blood pressure, heart rate, height, weight. We measure their body in a few different places type thing. We do a lung capacity. We do a body composition measure to kind of see what their body fat percentage is. We also, of course, then do a small little stress profiler that we can see how they respond to stress for themselves. So that's kind of our physical aspect of what we look at for the assessment. Put that together with a questionnaire that we give to individuals, which is first going to see what their goals are, what their lifestyle is about type thing, what's their family situation and those sort of things. And then we ask questions specifically in the 3 dimensions, as we say, of the physical, to be fit, of how you're moving your body, what are you doing for yourself type thing, right? As well as the biochemical, or to eat right, or what are you putting into your body, as well as just as importantly, what are you not putting into your body type thing. And then the last aspect of the questionnaire, as we say, is to think well, or our psychological dimension. How do you deal with the stresses of day-to-day life type thing, right? So from that, when we put those things together, we combine them together to get something that we call a wellness quotient. A wellness quotient basically is kind of just a number of where they are wellness-wise in the grand scheme of compared to other individuals. After we get the wellness quotient, we get them to see, well, what are your goals? What is it that you want to work on? But also kind of as an educational piece is that, as I joke, is that, you know, if I got a gentleman who comes in and he's, say, 5'5" and he weighs 250 pounds and eats very unhealthy type thing, doesn't have a very active life, smokes, you know, doesn't have a good way of dealing with stress, one of his goals is to dance at his daughter's graduation type thing because he feels he isn't able to do it. So at that time, that's his goal. That's what I'm going to help him work on. But in the meantime, I'm also going to be planting small little seeds to grow about healthy-wise that, oh, you know, great dancing is such a great form of physical activity. It's good for the mind. It's good for the body. Helps you feel good. You feel great about it. And I joke that I got 2 left feet, so myself dancing next to somebody else probably doesn't want to be there. But over a period of time, we're probably going to find that we'll start laughing, being humorous, and that stress goes off type thing. But in the meantime, I'll let them know that, you know, in that sense, is when his blood pressure drops a bit, you see, this is what we're doing, and this is helping you get a little bit of weight off type thing. He's able to feel more energy and those things. Those are all things that we think about. What we do after customizing our program with their goals is that we have our coaching sessions. So that's where, as we say, the intrinsic coaching that we do is unique because we see an individual as creative, capable, and create and complete all by themselves. So they might have a very creative solution to how to deal with one of the issues that might be a health and wellness for themselves that I can't think of. Because when we talk about the coaching, as I say, we approach a person as an iceberg. Our coaching sessions, as we say, they're individualized and client-centered, barrier-free, because in the iceberg aspect of things, as we say when we talk to people, even the people closest to us who are our friends, we don't know everything about them. So most of it is, as we say, hidden under the water, type like an expert. So in realizing that they're that individual who is unique and complex type thing, they can make changes for themselves because, as we say, telling them what to do doesn't necessarily work, but if they come up with ideas for themselves that work, then of course they have ownership over it. And then they let their body have its own healing type thing for itself type thing for there. The other thing, as we said, our reassessments, which we're going to do, is meant to be a measure of our progress, but also to give us feedback. So, oh, you know, you're starting to add a little bit more fruit into your diet type thing. You're starting to eat a bit more vegetables. Interestingly enough, do you not realize that now you're not craving those sweets, you're not craving that big bag of chips at the end of the day because you're putting in the nutrition in your fruits and vegetables and your healthy eating that's there for you. We also want to be realistic and we realize that not everybody's going to make the positive changes that they're hoping to, but also is to give them feedback for encouragement, see where they are, of course, as well as we say, one of the big things that we do with people is something we call an action plan. So that's basically simply something that, as we say, I describe it to a person as something you want to do for yourself. And of course, is action-oriented. And it's, well, what are you going to do? When are you going to do it? How often are you going to do it for yourself? And then what time are you going to do it during the day? Because we know that in establishing a good, healthy lifestyle is about habits. because we know that those habits that we are so used to that we fall back into are why really, and I no offense, just my own point of view, is that why diets don't work. Is because, okay, yeah, I'm going to restrict all these sort of things and not have these sort of this, and great, I do well, I eat well, maybe on this limited kind of program, but then my lifestyle and what I'm typically like ends up kind of starting over again. So now I grab a little bit now, as Newfoundlanders, a little bit more of my salt beef and on my Sunday dinner. Now I'm putting a little bit more gravy in there because that's what I like. And so that's kind of where we want to be realistic in saying that our action plan is going to change. But also at the reassessment is a time for them to reaffirm what their goals are. So maybe their goal was, as we said with the gentleman, to learn how to dance. Now he's done it. He's at his daughter's graduation, felt great, but now he's seeing the benefits of it. So now it's a matter of, now I've learned how to dance, and I want to keep that up, but now I would like to do something else. Maybe now I want to learn how to cook healthier meals. Or maybe now I want to learn how to deal with my stress of my job, which I haven't been dealing with, type thing. So that's why we do our reassessments as well.
Okay, it's Jonathan here now. I'm going to talk a bit about Term 1 of our program. So the timeline of Term 1 was from April 2016 to January 2017. The program outline, we had broken it down into 12 steps. It started with registration, acceptance in the program, the initial assessment, the follow-up, the coaching sessions, the midterm assessments, the second follow-up, more coaching sessions, a final assessment, a final follow-up, go-forward plans, and we ended it with a 7 Directions annual award ceremony. So the handout on this page was given out to all clients, and it's just a more detailed description of the program outline. So the initial assessment and follow-up, the Tajike'k Centre initially completed 124 assessments in its first term. The assessment consists of a detailed questionnaire, as we talked about, covering the 3 areas of wellness, the biochemical, the psychological, and physical, and it also consists of technological measurements, so your body measurements, strength tests, and stress profiling. We later formed an employer partnership in September 2016, which gave us an additional 8 clients, bringing our total to 132 registered clients. The following statistical baseline data was constructed from the results of the first round of assessments. So based on our 124 clients, baseline stats we collected, we had gender, 84% were female and 16% male. The communities that we served, we broke it down, so 23% of our clients were from Flat Bay, 5% were from the Robinsons area, 30% from St. George's, 2% from Steve Mill Crossing, Steve Mill Kippens, or 23%, sorry, 9% from the Corner Brook area, 1% from Central, 6% from Eastern, and 1% from Nova Scotia. 81% of our clients were Indigenous, and then 19% were just non-Mi'kmaq. The age range, we had 0% in the 12 to 14, 6% 15 to 24, 11% 25 to 34, 8% 35 to 44, 24% 45 to 54, 32% 55 to 64, and then 18% were 65 plus. The baseline stats for our wellness quotients by area. So the average quotient in Flat Bay was 67, which would have been the challenge zone. For Robinsons was 70, also in the challenge zone. St. George's 67, once again challenged. Steve Mill Crossing, Steve Mill and Kippens 68, so challenged again. In the Port-au-Port and Cape St. George area was 86, so they were in the transition zone. The Corner Brook was 79, so also transition. Central was 51, back in the challenge zone. Eastern 77 in transition zone. And 53, so challenge for Nova Scotia. So what this means is that, the average wellness quotient overall in the program was 69. So it shows that the general population of clients in the program were in the challenged area, meaning that steps need to be taken to improve the wellness of the clients in the target region. Our highest wellness quotient for the initial assessment was 126, so this client would have been registered in the excellent category, and the lowest measured wellness quotient for the initial assessment was 45, so this would have been our very challenged. Like I said, the data was based on 124 initially assessed clients, and where the arrow is there is where we fell on the wellness quotient. So after the initial assessment began to client coaching. So depending on the health conditions of a client, they will either be coached weekly or bi-weekly. Each session, clients are coached on a variety of health topics based on their concerns. So like we said, a customized program is constructed from their own health goals, and intrinsic coaching is used to help these clients thoroughly formulate an action plan to help them achieve their personal goals. So the picture to the right shows a sheet of the type of data collected at each coaching session. It was broken down for each client and documented and kept in their files. So after that, we had a grand opening. So on June 14th, Tajike'k Centre held its official grand opening in Flat Bay. With over 60 attendees, including special guests, partners, staff, and clients, the cultural celebration went over very well, and it was a great night enjoyed by all the clients. The opening of the Tajike'k Centre marks the first program of its kind in Western Newfoundland. Picture to the right is the invitation that was sent to clients and guests. Here are a few pictures. And after that, we started our midterm assessments. So after 3.5 months, each client undergoes a reassessment, which mimics the initial assessment. However, this time the change in score is recorded to see how clients have progressed since their first visit. The reassessment provides insight on each of the 3 individual targeted areas in the program and how they have either improved or worsened over the course of the program. At each reassessment, a gas voucher is given to clients who have to travel from out of town to act as an incentive and reduce the cost barrier for clients traveling long distances. Also at the reassessments, we give out a sample product that will help benefit the client on their journey to wellness. For the first reassessment, our product was Sweetgrass Yoga. So then data collected from our middle assessments. Once again, our gender stats kind of stayed the same. It was 85% female, 15% male. Demographics never really changed much, 22% in Flat Bay, 3% in Robinsons, 28 in St. George's, 21 Stephenville Crossing, Stephenville area, 2% in the Port-au-Port and Cape St. George area, 9% Corner Brook area, and 1% for both Central and Nova Scotia, 13% for the Eastern. Same, the Indigenous clients, we dropped to 74% because with our employer partnership in the Eastern area, we're getting more non-Indigenous clients. So 74% Indigenous and 26% non-Indigenous. Age distribution was roughly the same, 6% and well 0% in the 12 to 14 range, 6% in 15 to 24, 9% 25 to 34, 25% 35 to 44. 32% in 45 to 54, 17% in the 65 plus. The wellness quotients changed a lot from the first initial assessment. So we see here there's more into the transition zone as opposed to the challenge. So the Flat Bay area went up to 75. This Robinson's area was 69, so that is still in challenge. St. George's was 78, it's also transition. Stephenville Crossing and Stephenville in 76, so up to transition. In Port-au-Port and Cape St. George, they were 93, so that's borderline good zone, so that was our biggest jump. Corner Brook, we had an 80, so that was also in the transition zone. In the Central and Nova Scotia, our clients dropped out, so we didn't have any data for them on this particular assessment. And then the 70 was overall in the Eastern region. So this explained, so our reassessment number 1, the average wellness quotient in the program increased to 77. So this shows that the general population of clients in the program are in the transition area, meaning that the positive changes are being made by the clients and the overall wellness of clients in the target region is improving. The highest wellness quotient for this reassessment was 123, put in the client in excellent category, and the lowest was 49, so very challenged. So it was a 4-point increase from our last lowest. So increased, we had 68% of our clients increase, 20% did decrease, and 12% kind of stayed around the same. So this data was based on 105 reassessed clients. Following the reassessment, client coaching continues to ensure clients meet their goals, including any new goals which may have surfaced from the reassessment. We also offered a few different activities alongside the program. So Tajike'k Centre aims to overcome as many barriers as possible that clients may have, so to ensure the improvement on health and prevention of chronic disease. In the summer and fall seasons, Dr. Stu hosted a weekly fitness walk where clients gathered in St. George's on Thursday evenings. The response was great, and clients looked forward to the group activity, which acted as physical and social activity. We also had a ball and band fitness group. So during the fall and winter seasons, due to the changing of the weather and shortage on daylight, the fitness walk was changed to a ball and band fitness class, which took place on Tuesday afternoons at the Rexplex in St. George's. The ball and band fitness group was received well by clients and was a great opportunity for clients to learn how to properly use their fitness ball and bands that they got when they joined the program. So we continued on with client coaching after the second set of assessments. This portion of the project gives clients more diligent coaching to build on the progress made since the first assessment. Clients either continue to work on their previous goals or form new ones depending on the results of their reassessment. So statistical data will be tabulated once all results are received and logged into our system, and the phase continued until January 2017, leading into February 2017, until the, oh, here's a few pictures of our coach Shelley White with clients. So yeah, the final assessments. So in mid-January 2017, the coaches began the final reassessments for the first 10-month term. All clients underwent another assessment to track their progress. The sample product given at the final assessment was a container of coconut oil. Clients were given a handout outlining the health benefits of coconut oils. And at the final assessment, clients completed a program feedback form to collect data on their thoughts about the program and how the program can be improved to adjust their needs. And finally, our concluding data for the first term. So the following data is based on 109 final assessments conducted. 4 clients were unable to complete the final assessment due to stormy weather conditions in the Conception Bay South area near St. John's. These clients were obtained through an employer partnership and will be promoted to term 2. So of the 135 original clients, we had 22 clients that dropped out of the program due to various reasons. So we have dropout stats. So like I said, our total registered clients for term 1 was 135. The total number of initial assessments conducted was 135. Total number of final assessments conducted was 109. Total number of dropout clients for term 1 was 22, making the percentage of dropout 16%. 4 clients, like I said, 4 clients did not complete the final assessment due to the weather conditions in that area. So then once again, our gender stats, we see 87% were female and 13% male. Demographic stats roughly stayed around the same. And we see a little bit of a change there in the eastern region due to our 4 clients that couldn't make their final assessments. Same Indigenous stats. We see now 81% were Indigenous and 19% non-Indigenous. Our age distribution roughly stayed around the same. And then our final wellness quotients. So here we can see a big difference from the initial assessment. We still have most of our clients in the transition area, but you see here yellow is transition, and like I say, green is our borderline good zone. The good thing about this is that we don't see any orange. There used to be a lot of clients in our challenge area, so they bumped up through the term 1 of the program. So for the final assessments, the average overall wellness quotient was 81. So this shows that the general population of clients in the program are in the transition area, and it's a whole 4-point increase from the middle assessment overall. The program seems to be making a major positive impact in the lives of the clients when it comes to being healthier individuals and a healthier society. The highest wellness quotient for the reassessment was 148, so this client was in the excellent area. The lowest measured wellness quotient for the final assessment was 52. So this client would have been in the challenge area. So this is an increase as the previous lowest wellness quotient was in the very challenge area. So we're really seeing big movements. 84% of the clients increased, 14% decreased, and then 2% stayed the same. And like I said, the data is based on 109 clients who completed term 1 of the program. So here's just a little diagram of where we started and where we ended up. Shows our gradual improvement of clients from the beginning to the end of term 1. So our overall increase was 12 wellness quotient points. Here's a few highlights from the first term. Our total weight loss was 390.5 pounds. 3 clients lost over 20 pounds. 30 clients lost more than 5 pounds. 48% of total clients showed an increase in their lung capacity. 67% of total clients showed an increase in all strength measurements. 61% showed a decrease in blood pressure. And then 4 clients scored in our excellent zone, so a wellness quotient greater than 125. So like I said, overall, some major changes were observed in term 1 of the Tajike'k Centre Program, and we anticipate that term 2 will show even more progress. The final event of the term 1 was our 7 Directions Awards celebration. So the 7 Directions Awards ceremony was a celebration of the conclusion of term 1, where clients and staff gathered for a freshly prepared hot meal. The evening also included activities, games, and wellness trivia to test the client's knowledge concerning topics covered over the year in the program. 7 Directions Awards were awarded to the clients who received the top scores in the following categories: most significant change in wellness quotient, most significant change in the physical dimension, most significant change in the biochemical dimension, most significant change in the psychological dimension, most weight lost, most significant achievement in tobacco cessation, and most significant improvement over chronic disease and risk factors. So each award came with a frame certificate and a prize valued at $300. Some of the prizes included a Fitbit Charge 2, gift certificates for clothing stores, gift certificates for traditional regalia, and gas cards. Following the 7 Directions Award, each client received a completion certificate and recognition token from the Flat Bay Band Inc. Tokens were crystal pendant, native arrowhead, and sage smudge stick. Sage represented a clearing out of the old habits, and an arrowhead represented overcoming barriers. So here's a few pictures of our 7 Directions Award ceremony. We had a really good turnout. So like I said here, clients got a chance to interact with the staff on games and activities involving their wellness knowledge. Here's our award winners. And a picture of the team.
So now we'll get into some other aspects of the program. As we say, not everything ran completely smoothly. But one of the big things that we talked about was the employer partnerships, because we know that in working in any place in the world, realistically, but especially in rural communities, of course, that employer partnerships are important because they help us continue our program. But one of the things is that we know that wellness in the workplace helps because individuals who stick to a wellness program are healthier workers. They don't miss as many days at work. They're more, I guess, efficient at their job type thing. So in this, of course, what we had was a number of healthcare service providers, doctors. At the time of the project, we contacted employers who had people in our program. So any of the clients that were in the program. And the employer package was developed and mailed out to 22 employers in the area. There was also conversation with 4 other employers, and partnerships were formed. Of that, of course, 10 agreed to partner with our center. So here is one of the big partnerships that we have, which was in St. John's. So one of the individuals there, it was from the West Coast, and she works out there now. And so from this, they came into our program a little later on, as I said, into term 2. And so 8 of the ladies in this office came in, and one of the ladies, of course, ended up being one of our award winners for, as we say, the most significant weight loss. And she, after losing over 40 pounds type thing, in just the, excuse me, frog in my throat, in the kind of 5 months that she was in the program. So she did very well for herself, making just small, minimal changes to her lifestyle. So as well, what happened was that we were lucky enough to get a fine gentleman to do a Tajike'k film documentary, and throughout this will be finished, as we said, at the end of term 3. Each year, Captive Expressions Film Studio, Nogma Village, Flat Bay Band, captures various aspects of our program, keeping that information in nearly a documentary post-program. But we also have a few little things which we keep and give to the clients on our I guess a YouTube feed, but also on our own Tajike'k Facebook page. And the film, of course, will also be serving for us as the purpose of an evaluation tool. So now we come to the program challenges, which were a few, as we say, I think. So first and foremost, of course, in a perfect world, this program would have went off smoothly without a hitch, but unfortunately we do not live in a perfect world. Maybe some of us do, but I'm not one of them myself. We had a few bumps in the roads, but you know, we had many successes, of course, which outweighed the challenges that we faced. So the first thing that we had was in getting our apprentice type thing. When we did our interviews, we were pretty much had it nailed down to 2 people from the individuals that were in type thing. Our first apprentice only worked for about 3.5 weeks. She felt she wasn't prepared enough for the position and left of her own accord, because during the interview process, she even said herself that she hoped the best person for the job would have got it. She would have been, as we said, a poster person for our Creating Wellness program, because she made the changes to her lifestyle all on her own. And she was very in a good place for herself, but she just felt that she wasn't the one who would be able to continue on to the program. So then, of course, we hired the second individual who worked there very well at first, but after 4 months she had to leave due to her own illness type thing, and in talking to her doctors and her own self was unable to come back to work at that time. So that, as we said, I guess I played baseball when I was a kid, and 3 strikes you're out, but at this time it was more 3 strikes and we got the right individual. So this caused a major disconnect with our program, because what happened was that we had one coach trying to balance everybody and the project slowed down. So there was not, people weren't getting the follow-up which we knew that they went. So finally we were lucky enough that in September 2016, Tabletop Chiropractic had hired our great apprentice now, Shelley, as a worker at his office, because she, the doctor in the area had retired, leaving her without a position. The owner of Tabletop Chiropractic said, I need to hire this lady because she's such a good worker and she's had such a great energy that I need to bring her into my office, even though we don't really have anything for her to be doing right now to keep her busy. When we had the unfortunate circumstance of our second apprentice getting sick, she became an integral part of our team, because what she did for her job previous was basically what we were doing here, with some guidance from me about how to kind of get some information to talk to our clients type thing. So the program was essentially saved due to her hard work, her dedication, her big heart, as well as the fact that she came on board with a pleasant attitude and everybody was drawn to her. We joke, as I say, a little bit about when I was trying to describe to the clients about who she was. Nobody knew who she was. Like, we don't know who that is. So when they came in, it was very funny to see the interaction, because they were like, oh my gosh, Shelley, oh, we didn't know it was you. Gosh, we know you all the bits. And so at that, of course, that put them at ease. So it was really good, and she's done a fantastic job moving forward. The big thing that happened in our program, sorry to laugh, was that at the time, Creating Wellness was a program that went all over the world. It was in over 100 countries at one point, not 100, I'm sorry, over 30 countries at one point, in over 300 centers is what I meant to say, I apologize. When we started our program right at the beginning, we had an issue with their program that we weren't getting our data back. So typically with that, as I say, ideally what happens is you come in, you do your assessment, we go through your questionnaire. When the client leaves the office, we put the questionnaire in the computer, I press a few buttons, and then my data would come back. Unfortunately, they said that there was an issue with their programming on their end. They were going to be this year fixing it. That caused a very big slowdown in us getting our results and getting them out to the clients, so that what ended up happening was we had to contact Creating Wellness itself, talk to their IT guy, tell them there's the individuals I was looking for. He would then look on his computer, pull those results out, and send them to me type thing. So that's how it worked at first. Wasn't timely, but we were able to get results. In August, and when we were getting ready to do our reassessments, what ended up happening was that he made a very good point, and that is, he said that me sending you these things over email through to your own personal email is not safe enough, so we need to password protect these programs, to these results, because this is personal information, personal health information we're saying. And I said, that's fantastic, I agree with that completely. That day he came and put a program onto my computer with a password to be able to get the results with, and then so we were good, and we thought that would move forward. The very next day we started our results, and what ended up happening was, lo and behold, we got nothing from this guy, nothing at all. So you can go to the next slide. So we no longer were able to get those results, so there was no data. However, of course, what was happening was that now we're like, well, what happens? And in talking to Creating Wellness, finally, as I talked to the owner of Tabletop Chiropractic, I said, can I go ahead and reach and kind of go around this individual to the head of the Chiropractic Leadership Alliance to see what in the heck is going on? Because, of course, Tabletop Chiropractic was paying fees as a member of Creating Wellness to get these results type of thing. So when we did, we finally realized, sorry, our program is closed. There's no support moving forward. We can't give you any results. Big impact for us in that, of course, that affected us in that what was happening. We results in a timely manner, long times for the clients to receive their results. We had to get some people who had come in for the results at that time, assuming that we could get the data from the system back in to actually do their assessments again. So there was a big disconnect. It was just luckily that Shelley came on board this time, because I was able to, in my very limited computer knowledge, be able to go around them to figure out what their results were. So it took us a lot of time in kind of playing with the computers, but we came up with some results on our own type thing, right? Move forward now, yeah. So with that, as we said, we had to look over that type thing, go over those negative effects on the program, and we intervened and took the challenges head on. So we came up with finding out how the results were tabulated for ourselves, pretty much type thing. We collected our data such that like things like somebody coming in and getting their blood pressure, we had put them directly into the computer, not thinking that this would happen whatsoever. And we made the mistake of not putting it on a hard copy, a paper file. Everything's computer this day and age. We thought, well, great, I'm being green and saving paper. I don't need to waste this. However, we realized this was an issue. So then we kept taking everybody's results for ourselves, to plan the changes to move forward to prevent any further bumps in the road. And of course, at the time, even though it was a bad thing, we never gave up hope. And we know that because our hearts and our spirits were in the right place, that we would be able to overcome these challenges and press forward to get the results for our clients. The employer partnerships, of course, was another thing too, was one of our weaker areas of the program. At the time, we didn't get a lot of response. Some of them did, and they agreed to partner with our program. But that's one of the things that we saw as, you know, because we were evaluating the program all along, what was a weakness for us. So we planned on increasing that, and in term two, that's one of the things that we're doing at this term, seeking out those partnerships for ourselves. Healthcare provider partnerships was a bit of an issue as well, one of the weaker aspects. We had a great response from our nurse practitioners here. Gosh, love them. They were fantastic. They were very open to the changes that their clients were coming in to talk about. They asked them about the program, and unfortunately, we only had one referral from a doctor for a client into the program. But now we're hoping that in approaching more healthcare providers, and now that people are starting to talk about it and share about it with their family doctors, their nurses, nurse care practitioners, that this is a problem. This is a problem that we're going to overcome, and that they're going to come on board, seeing the value for their clients that's there, type thing. So as we said, the barriers operates for ourselves a barrier-free program. We were being too lenient and accommodating was doing more harm than good for our program. When Shelley came on board, she said, "Okay, now we're going to take control of this," and so she did that. So what we found, by allowing clients to cancel appointments and reschedule too frequently, the process slowed. So then under individuals as well, we had a clinic in Stephenville, but clients were redirecting themselves to that clinic, which we only had one day, instead of coming to the main clinic in Flat Bay, and so that caused congestion of all those clients in there, because Stephenville is the main center in our area. So we implemented the changes for term two. So in light of this, we made those changes. The clients had to sign a commitment contract so that they would come and get their assessments done, as well as, of course, that they would then as well get their coaching can be done. So at that time, we wanted to be as barrier-free as possible. So if you can't come in to see us, then we can go on the phone, we can do Facebook, we can do email, we can do a Skype chat, whatever kind of makes it work for you type thing. As well as the incentive was, as we said, for travel was provided for their assessments to come out type thing. Clients, of course, we know that for them to make the results, they have to be committed as well, as much as we are. Myself as a coach being committed is not going to do anything for an individual if they don't make the changes for themselves type thing. And so in conclusion.
So the conclusion for term one of the Tajike'k Centre Program, it had its challenges, but they were all overshadowed by the amazing success amongst the clients. So like I said, we engaged 135 individuals in a multidimensional approach to wellness. 90% of our clients reported feeling healthier. 62% of clients had shown a reduction in blood pressure. 72% of clients report being more physically active. 40% of clients report eating more fruits and vegetables. and an overall total weight loss of 390.5 pounds. So we anticipate that term 2 will only build on the successes of term 1. So term 2, what we got coming up? The client base is increased to 140 clients. More partnerships will be established with both employers and healthcare providers. New items added to our kits. More exercise programs in different areas. Changes incorporated from our client feedback. Be Fit with Native Dance program, which has already started and is doing very well. More intrinsic coaching and health information, and of course, more health products. Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys as well, and I'm going to be a little bit of a pain now and be funny, because if you saw the picture of Johnny, Johnny's a really big guy, kind of almost as big as Arnold Schwarzenegger. So for him, one of his goals was to gain weight, of course. So even though we lost 390 pounds, of course, he wanted to gain, which he did. So that kind of skewed our results a little there, right, Johnny?
Thank you, guys.
That's funny. Thanks so much, Jonathan and Stuart. So let's launch into the questions. The first question that I've got for you both is, were there any criteria required for participants to enroll in the program, and how did you manage participants located in Nova Scotia?
So yeah, I can answer that. There was no criteria for anybody to come into the program. Interest was what it was. So anybody who had the interest to come into the program was able to come in. As we said, even though it was for Indigenous peoples, well, as an Indigenous people, we're not going to be excluding anyone. We're an inclusive type of individuals. So with that, that's what we did type thing. So there were no real criteria, just their own interest type thing, word of mouth from people sharing it and then finding out. The individual from Nova Scotia was the individual who we had seen as a kind of spokesperson, kind of figurehead for the program, and they had been our regional chief for our area type thing. So for him, that was what we had done, and because he was an individual who has, as a man type thing, and one of the things is, as you can see by our data, that women typically are more concerned, well, not that women are more concerned, I apologize, men are too, but women are more apt to want to make those changes for themselves and do those sort of things, because us men are, as we say, lone wolves, and we figure we can do it all on our own type thing, right? So in that sense, of course, this gentleman was a guy who, at times throughout every year, he always got on a wellness kick, but those things sort of faded type thing for himself because he didn't continue on with it. Unfortunately for him, through multiple approaches and trying to get a hold of him, every modality I tried, he was non-committal type thing, right? So even to the point of trying to be avoiding of me at times when we were actually in seminars together. So unfortunately with him, we had to let him go because we were paying out of our own pockets type thing to go over and do the assessment with him in Nova Scotia, as well as trying to meet with him at another time when we were in Ontario type thing, which didn't work out either type thing, just because he was a very busy man. And as we say, probably at this point, wellness wasn't able to be his priority for himself, even though he had the best of intentions type thing.
Great, thanks for that. Another question related from Lori to that previous question is, were questions asked about participants' personal circumstances? And the second part is, in addition to support for travel, were there any other actions taken to create more supportive conditions with their communities and workplaces?
Yeah, so for us, as we said, the conditions kind of to get them to come in, when we asked them that in our initial intake, we asked them about their own personal histories type thing. So similar to kind of, as I say, in taking in a client type thing to learn about them, we asked them about their families type thing, what their social supports were, what their challenges were from the aspect of, from the physical to the emotional to the mental to the spiritual for themselves, what they self-identified for themselves type thing. With regards to, as we said, moving forward type thing, how to make it easier, that was why at first we had offered the fitness exercise in Flat Bay. Nobody was really interested. We had one lady who kept coming, and we had that every day of the week actually, because this is where our center was, where we had the opportunity to do that. Unfortunately, just the interest wasn't there, and the one lady who was committed, she just said, not to be blunt, but I'm tired of looking at you and only you, Stuart. There's nobody else here with me type thing. So that's what we tried to do. We also then, of course, tried to go into other communities to set up kind of a little fitness type thing, education seminars and things, but they weren't really well received for us. And that, as I said, even I'll be the first to admit, that was both of an aspect from their point of view of not really getting our information out there, but also our own point and not working out to try to see how we can bridge these barriers and help moving forward. So that's something that we're addressing in term 2, because now we'll be starting actually, they start next week type thing, our fitness groups, which are open to people in the program, but also their friends to come in, along with the native dance type thing, so that other people are getting to know about it type thing. What we're also going to be hoping to do to get more involvement in the community is in talking to the doctors in the area, but the healthcare providers. But if anything, I'm bad. I don't mean to offend any of the doctors if they are on the line, but I used to joke that as doctors, you know, we understand that the nurses are the backbone of our healthcare system. They're on the ground, they're doing the things, they know what the patients are doing on a daily basis. Us doctors do too, but nurses are living it. So the nurse practitioners here in Newfoundland were the people we were really blessed to be having into it for ourselves and working with them and some of their suggestions to move forward to make some changes for ourselves. I don't know if you had anything to add, Johnny? No. No? Okay. I hope that answered the question. If not, then I can get back to the individual in another way, like that.
Perfect. So Lori, please let us know if we've answered the question or if you have further questions. Next question is, I'm going to combine two people's questions that are somewhat related. Christina asks, what methods do you suggest to increase attendance to wellness program events? And I guess actually it's not quite related, but from Jennifer, she's wondering if people are discharged following term 1 or do they continue indefinitely?
Yeah, so for us, increasing attendance at the wellness events, as we said, we use social media. I was a social media virgin prior to this program, and I finally had to get a Facebook account for my clients to be able to contact them. So we had our own Facebook page that we had type thing. Word of mouth was a big thing for us, because in Newfoundland, that's how things work for ourselves, is that we say, well, if somebody tells me about it, we're going to learn ourselves type thing. In the media advertising we had done on through the actual newspaper, the local newspaper, which is the Western Star on area, as well as in a newspaper in the Port of Basque area, and then through a few pages that are attached to the actual Nogama Village van, and putting out posters and those sort of things for it. Moving forward, I think that realistically, to get the attention of, to get more interest in it would be, as we say, the clients. The clients push our program more than anybody else, because this term, all of the people who have come in as new clients are individuals who have heard about it from somebody else, not from our own really advertising. And even in the first term, a lot of the people had said who were interested coming to our functions was that they heard it from one of their friends or somebody who's in the program. Answering part 2 of the question, as we said, realistically, because as we said, we knew ourselves in talking to Jonathan, talking to Shelley, myself, the chief, was that really we didn't give individuals, as I say, a good kick at the can in term 1, because of the issues we had with staffing, the issues we had with creating wellness, becoming defunct and not giving us our support. So we gave every single individual the opportunity to come back into term 2 if they wished. That being said, as we said, we knew there was individuals who we even talked to that had graduated, so the individuals who made big changes, because our big winner who ended up having the highest wellness quotient, as we said, one of the ladies, she came from actually being challenged. I think her wellness quotient was like it's a 67 up to 130 something. So she made a huge change in her life type thing. But in even talking to her where we said she would graduate, she said, no, I know for myself I need the program. So in that sense, individuals, that was what we gave them as the opportunity, because we knew that for us, we didn't get a good opportunity of what the program had to offer in term 1. Term 2, of course, we've increased our numbers, and that was a good thing as well to bring in new clients. And then we did have some individuals who, to be honest, were like, no, I don't want to go to Flat Bay because that's too out of my way type thing. And those were typically people from the big center in Stephenville, not from the other centers type thing, that didn't want to come out to our community type thing for us.
Super, thanks for that. Next question from Caddy. She sends her congratulations on your success with the program and the participant success. She says, I encourage continuous assessment to collect information and feed them back to improve the program. And did you encounter any challenges in doing the assessment of the program?
Well, the assessment of the program, we were lucky enough to have a great individual who came on to kind of be our evaluator to help us with it. For us, we were very realistic in it, in that in looking at it and getting the feedback from the clients was one of the things that helped us change a lot type thing. So that was where, as we said, that's why we're offering more group activity for the clients to come out for fitness and activities. But also this term, what we're going to be doing is hopefully getting local healthcare providers in the area with a modest stipend, or hopefully even through volunteering, to be able to help us to come out type thing and present to those individuals. So in us, as we say, is that ideally what will happen is that in the main areas, like we said, seeing as St. George's, Flat Bay, Stephenville area, those are kind of our bigger centers in the area. So what we would do would be to go to those places to have presentations for individuals to come out type thing, to learn more for themselves. Because we know that, as you see, our client profile demographically, it was more to an older profile of individuals. So this term we've worked on trying to get young people in, because we know for chronic disease prevention, we want them to make these changes earlier in life, because of course that'll work for easier moving forward. But as well, we know that if we're being realistic, we have a lot of individuals who are seniors who are coming into it, and for them, the social connection is what they had talked about, and that's what some of the suggestions were from the clients as well, is they wanted some more social activities, because unfortunately, I guess our Seven Directions Awards ceremony went over so well. They really enjoyed it, and from that, as they said, you know, people were like, oh, I didn't know you were in the program, even though they're kind of acquaintances and in neighboring communities, they understood that. So for that, what we say moving forward, we're going to let individuals know that, okay, well, this week we're going to have a talk about meditation, and, you know, Joe White is coming in to talk about meditation, and it's going to be offered in these communities, so that, oh, well, I can't go to my community in St. George's on Tuesday night because I've had prior commitment, but I can go to Stephenville on Wednesday and then see it there because it's something I'm interested in, so that then they have that opportunity to engage in it more, but also to establish the relationships with those other people in the other communities, so that they can then help and encourage each other to move along and to get better type thing moving forward with their wellness goals.
Great. Then our next question from Naomi is, are there any plans to measure the wellness quotient of clients in 1 and 2 years out from the end of the program to see what parts of the changes have been incorporated more long term?
That's a good question, and that's one of the things that we know, as we say, is a bit of an issue with our program, because as we say, we have the funding now for the 3 years to do this type thing from the Public Health Agency of Canada type thing, and that was one of the things we want to do moving forward. Depending on how our program goes and what happens moving after the end of the program is something that we certainly want to have happen. And so what the plan was, of course, is that typically for individuals who wanted to do creating wellness, it was a fee-based structured program. That's why it kind of didn't work really well in our area, because people are on a fixed income, and coming into health and wellness is a commitment they're making to themselves, and a lot of people don't want to make that commitment type thing, unfortunately, type thing for themselves. They'd rather, and I say is, you know, I know in talking to the chief, that's their decision, and I said, well, they would rather go on the weekend and get a case of beer and buy a pack of smokes than, okay, let me put a visit of $20 in to make some changes to myself, so I can monitor how I'm doing to make some changes in my health and lifestyle type thing for ourselves. So that would be one thing we're hoping to do. It just all depends on how the continuation of our program is with myself, what my plans are moving forward, as well as with Shelley as our apprentice, and then Jonathan as the coordinator type thing. But the opportunity hopefully will be there, because the long-term follow-up to see if the changes last is important. Because even as we say, it was a great question, because for the individuals who did come back, some of them even said that in that short break, kind of from February to April, May, when we finished doing our assessments for the clients, they said, oh, you know, I've fallen off doing my exercise, or I'm starting to eat a little unhealthy again, or I'm not relaxing and doing my deep breathing or my breathing meditation that I was doing. So there has been some fall off, even in a few months type thing. So that's why, as I say, even though probably, oh, I'm going to get in trouble saying it, I speak my mind, so, is that ideally what we would love to have is that I would rather see one person in the program for 3 years, and after 3 years have those, I guess, habits, those life strategies those healthy lifestyles for themselves there than to have 3 people come in for 1 year and do nothing afterwards and not continue on in that healthy lifestyle type thing. So a really great question. Thanks.
Thanks. Our next question from Darren is asking about where you saw the most improvements in mind, body, or spirit on average. And Darren's especially interested in the psychological improvements you saw.
For that question, the most improvement would have to be in the body, so the physical aspect. One of the those were the biggest changes in almost all of our clients, I think, like for score-wise. The psychological improvements, there were the one client Stuart talked about that came in and like doubled her score from the start to finish. She probably had the largest increase in the psychological improvement, but with that one, like it wasn't very big, I gotta say. So if I had to rank them, it would go, the physical would be the largest, biochemical in the middle, and then our psychological would be at the end.
Great. From Jennifer, did your program provide direct access to partner health professions, for example, massage, chiro, etc.? And if so, who pays for this?
No, it did not, right? That was something that we didn't have type thing. We did have it in the sense that we had that information for our clients, but we just gave them the information to let them know about that. That would have been something that would have been paid out of pocket for themselves, for the individuals that did, because in our previous diabetes prevention initiative, that was something that we had given as kind of awards for individuals who did well, reaching their goals and those sort of things. And the fact of the matter was, even though they said they were interested, none of those people, well, sorry, that's a lie, I apologize. 3 of those people did partake, but the other 7, they didn't go ever to take part in the massage or the physio or any of the other modalities that they were able to type thing. So it was a bit of a disappointment because we thought that it was a great kind of idea as an incentive for them, as a kind of an award for themselves, and they could kind of, in a sense, treat their mind, body, spirit as something that they wouldn't be otherwise able to afford or otherwise able to take advantage of.
Thanks. Another great question from Kadi is, do you have any advice to improve the community ownership of preventive programs?
Oh my, that's a good question. In that, realistically, one of the big things to do is that you need to talk to the people in the community to see what's important to them and what their values are. Because for us, as I say, surprisingly enough, as much as, myself as a doctor looking at things, I'm so concerned about, how they're doing on the physical aspect of things with their blood pressure, their heart rate, these sort of things, when they come in and talk about what their sugars are and things, how they're doing with their cholesterol and stuff. Those are important things. But it's interesting in that in looking at preventative ways, you need to engage the people in things that they enjoy, which is, as I joke, surprisingly enough, we think we know what's right, but the clients know what's best for them type thing. That's why the kind of aspect of what works for them is important, so that, as I said, when we did things that they talked about, it worked well. We got more involvement and more preventative access, because as I say, and I don't know if it's just my own coincidental looking or my own knowledge that I'm seeing these things, but in each of the communities, it's interesting to see, it seems as though, maybe I'm noticing it more, but people are more active. There's more talk even from our clients about health and wellness with each other. So in that sense, prevention is something that they want to do in their own workplaces. They want to do in their own basically volunteer organizations that they're in. And so now we're hoping that in this term what we're going to get is more individuals who want to, as they say, make changes for themselves but also their community, because we know prevention is such a big thing. Prevention is so key moving forward. Oops, sorry about that. Because as we say, an ounce of prevention is like a pound of cure, I think. I'm not sure if that's how the quote goes type thing. But we know that that's one of the things that for myself, and I only speak for myself, nobody else, no offense to be taken. As I say, I'm bad with words, so I probably do offend a lot. But for myself, as I said, going through medicine, that was one of the things I saw, is that the aspect of prevention wasn't something that we learned a lot about. We learned how to diagnose, how to treat, but how to prevent these things so we don't have to go down that road type thing. Because we ask those questions about, what runs in your family, those sort of things as doctors to have an idea of it. But now I think that, medicine is starting to realize this, because so many of our patients, so many of our clients are looking to alternative methods, alternative healthcare, to see if there are results that they can get elsewhere. because the medical system is not doing it, because as we know, doctors are overworked. There's not a lot of time that they have with their clients type thing, and they're focused, of course, on themselves and knowing that, well, I got to see the next 20, 30 people that I have the rest of my day. So they need to be able to do those sort of things. So the time that's necessary to be able to talk about preventative things, even though, as I say, we learn, well, eat right and, you know, exercise and those sort of things, but a lot of it is more self-knowledge that we learn ourselves type thing. So in that sense, the preventative aspect of stuff is going to be in getting information from the individuals in the community important, because from the community members is how we know what is going to work for prevention for them. Because if we say that, okay, what we're going to do is going to be great, and I'm going to come in and say, oh, okay, we're going to all do running, like I said, and this is what I do in my presentation. If I say, oh, we're going to start a running group, and you're somebody who can't stand to run, you're not going to listen to another word I have to say. So it's about getting feedback from the community of what they like, because so one of the things is that for us, you know, doing a simple walk in nature type thing where we do this is something that people come out to. They like to do that. But if I say I wanted to start a running group, I'm not going to get many people interested in that. So it's about understanding in your own unique community what works, what they want to work, and also as well, as we say, well, we got to be honest. Well, you know, if we're here in Newfoundland, of what we want to do for wellness, they probably all want to sit down and have Jig's dinner every day type thing and eat and stuff. And I joke as Newfoundlanders, we're good at dealing with stress. We eat and we drink very well. Not the healthiest ways, but those are things that we are being realistic that people do. Not the healthiest things, but we need to, as well as kind of knowledge keepers, as educated individuals with the experience in these fields, impart our own knowledge to be working with in things that work with the people in the communities to prevent chronic disease, to prevent these drains on our healthcare system, as well as on our healthcare providers.
So interesting to hear that kind of spin-off effect of, and even if it's an anecdote of people sort of bringing it back to their homes, their communities, their workplaces, and talking about prevention, talking about healthy living. So great to hear that. Megan is asking if there are plans to expand the program to other Indigenous communities in Canada.
That is, as we say, our chief is very forward-thinking and is looking forward to that sort of thing. And so for us, it was something that we would love to do type thing, because we know that in Indigenous communities across Canada, we all share the same kind of concerns where we've lost that aspect of our lifestyle where we were, as we said, very active individuals living off the land, always being active, you know, that aspect of celebrating our culture, our families are so important to us. So we know that that was one of the things we were hoping with our original kind of, as we say, figurehead individual with the program, where they were kind of a regional chief for the Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, I think PEI as well region. I don't think that he's New Brunswick. I think there's a separate regional chief there. Don't quote me on that. That's what we were hoping, because ideally what we want to have happen is that for us being with the, especially with the film, is to be able to learn from our mistakes moving forward with what works in Native communities. Because for myself, I know in talking with one of the elders, like he talked about how he makes a rabbit stew and stuff and how it's really not that healthy because of the way he makes it. And I immediately informed him that, you know, stews and soups are great, because for us, we typically, when if we're making vegetables and doing it, that our peels are the things we throw out type thing, or we boil it in water and then we throw the water out and what's left is just a vegetable type thing. So a lot of the nutrition is left in the vegetables, and in the water we've actually thrown out. So in making a good, as we say, rabbit stew type thing for himself, that's something that really, yeah, well, probably not the way that you're traditionally used to making it, with adding in Newfoundland doughboys, which are basically bread dough that we throw in top type thing and soaks up all the nice gravy and those sort of things into it, which is probably not the healthiest. But in making smaller changes where we add, as I say, instead of adding the fat to foods and the sugar to foods, we learn how our spice profile is, which as Native people we would have used before to flavor our foods, is something that's important, because what we want to be able to do is bring it to our brothers and sisters, not just in the Indigenous communities across Canada, but across the whole nation. Because as we say, as much as I had heard there on one of the CBC commercials yesterday about the 150th anniversary of Canada, and then one of the people saying that we're a country of immigrants, is that we need to remember that we're a native, as I had learned from one individual, is that we might be, as they say, bilingual as a Canadian country, and French and English, but we're tricultural, and it's our native peoples that are one of the things we need to take pride in. So Indigenous people and giving them that opportunity to create wellness and health and healthy communities is one of the things we're really looking forward to moving forward, and any suggestions by anybody that would help us do that would be most welcome to us.
Thanks. Well, feel free, anyone on the line, to drop a comment in our chat, and we'll share those with our presenters. The next question from Jennifer is, do you have any thoughts on how this program could be used or adapted for vulnerable populations, for example, those with chronic substance use issues?
Interesting, yeah, because as we said, one of the weaknesses in our program, as we said when we were evaluating ourselves, is that I joke, that's one of the questions I ask actually, is do you have any is there any substances that you use or things that you, or anything that you use that you feel you're getting out of control with, and everybody answers no. And I joke that with the apprentice now, they share a lot more with her than with me, because I think for some reason, for whatever reason, clients are kind of concerned, they want to try to impress me or something, I don't know, but my apprentice Shelley is able to get more information from people. But moving forward, as we say, those individuals who are the target people that we want to look at, the vulnerable sector, would be great, because of course one of the things is just in kind of them coming in and doing even a questionnaire or getting that contact with somebody who approaches them from a little different way. Because for us, what we want to do is we want to learn from you. And that's what intrinsic coaching is all about. I joke with clients is that you're not going to like the way I talk to you because you're going to feel weird. Because I always kind of get it from you, so in that way they take ownership from things. But also, as we say, the coaching that we do is we keep contact with them. And so that's what the thing is that especially within the vulnerable sectors with individuals who are addicted to substances and stuff, is that yeah, they have that addiction type thing, but they also feel vulnerable because they feel like nobody understands them and that there's nobody they can turn to. Because the way when they turn to certain aspects in healthcare providers or health advisors or people, they get shunned in their own sense of things and they feel kind of discriminated against. But for us, in trying to learn about it from themselves and get that information from them to work with them to what works, as I say, because one of the things as important as we say as doctors, our Hippocratic oath that we take is to do no harm. And harm reduction is important. So this program itself is a harm reduction program, in that we know for us as healthcare individuals and kind of seeing them, so as they come in, if we were able to continue to take them type thing in, we're able to see, you know, oh, you're kind of, I'm noticing that you're starting to go down a little bit in our observational skills. And then we might be able to learn and kind of, because we develop that relationship with them, to help them with setting goals for themselves, because, in setting goals for themselves, that for to see them achieve, to get that positive sense of self-esteem is important. Because just because somebody is, as they say, as you know, some people say, on the fringes of society and having, you know, an addiction type thing, it's not that they don't still have goals for themselves. Because as I tell people, everybody wants to be as healthy as they can. Healthy for me might be healthy, my view of health might be a different view from, you know, from Jonathan, might be a different view from Bill, might be a different view from Danica, might be a different view from the individual who's homeless living on the street, but they still want to live as healthy a lifestyle as we can. So in working with them to see what is health for them, it redefines what our definition is of health, so that they can get as healthy as we can. So in that aspect, that's something that we're helping to have happen, but unfortunately we don't really, as of now, know of anybody who has those issues, because they haven't really been up for it and sharing with it. And right now, of the clients who come into the program, there's not many of them that I would even be concerned that would, well, it's not that I'm not concerned, because they're not going to share it with me anyway, that I know knowledgeable-wise that have those kind of concerns for themselves. But it would be something that I think, because of the fact that they get to learn about themselves and that we work with them, what their goals are moving forward, that would work well with kind of target communities, target populations in that sense type thing.
Wonderful. Question from Trace. Was financial stress ever identified as a significant contributor to overall stress? And are there aspects of the program geared to helping participants improving financial wellness? And if not, do you think a similar approach could be taken in helping people make sustainable and individualized financial behavior changes?
Oh yeah, certainly so, right? Because that's one of the things, and it's interesting in that in our questionnaire itself that we go through, that's one of the things that we see, and that financial stress is a big thing. And even in talking with the clients, they talk about it, it's like, oh gee, I would love to be able to go to get a massage, or I'd love to be able to go to a physiotherapist or get a counselor, or to go to see a chiropractor or a wellness, but I don't have the money to do it. So I'm so glad this program is something that is free for individuals to come in and take part in type thing. In the questionnaire itself, that's one of the things we asked. Financial stress is a big aspect of it type thing, because we know that as much as, yes, I'm a bad person because I joke about it, that finances are such a funny thing because they're a man-made entity that kind of control and rule so many of us, but they're a reality in our world that financial stress is something that comes across all of our basically health areas, from the aspect of how we're able to eat and feed ourselves to basically are we able to be as healthy as we can. So yeah, my friends are going out for a ski today, but I can't go skiing because I can't afford to have a pair of skis, and I'm embarrassed to ask my friend about it because they're going to ask, well, why can't you buy it? And I can't afford it. So financial things are one of the things that is an aspect that causes stress for people. Unfortunately, it's something that most people like to keep to themselves and not even share. So most people do say that when they're having financial stress is something that they're aware of, but in trying to get more information for them, that's something that they don't really like to talk about because it's so private. Whereas for us, what we're hoping is that with one of the individuals who's going to be who hopefully partners this year, which is a local credit union, I know as the credit union themselves, they have to go out in the community to give presentations. So a lot of the clients are actually talking about the credit union as a source for to get some financial kind of counseling, some financial advice, so that they can have better methods of doing it. That's why, as we said for ourselves too, is that why we kind of give them at first when they come in, they're given their wellness kit, which includes all of the aspects that they need for physical health type thing, to do some physical exercise, to keep track of their changes, some ideas about how to eat healthy, how to prepare fresh meals and things, as well as things that help them with from the cultural aspect of the stage, to help them with their smudging, their cleansing, and those sort of things. To give them that, as well as when they come in for their reassessments, well, here's a little thing about health and wellness with the aspect of, as we say, oh, well, here's a little as we yoga, sweetgrass yoga type thing, which we had seen was from the Southern Ontario Aboriginal Diabetes Initiative. So for them it was great because in it the little lady talks about how yoga is such a good thing for Native people to be doing. But in that, so then they give that opportunity, well, here's an opportunity for you to learn yoga in the comfort of your home, which you would have had to go out to pay at a local area to learn how to do yoga. Here is an idea about coconut oil to kind of cook with, or to use as a skin product, or to use in any method that you want that is helpful for yourself, because you probably can't afford it, and you're continuing to cook with unhealthy fats for yourself when you want to kind of have a little fry, even though we don't want you to be frying much, but being aware of what that is for themselves. So give them that opportunity. So we're hoping this year that, as we say, we talk about it from the mind, body, spirit, to be fit, eat right, think well. Financial stress affects all three of those. So that's one of the seminars we're hoping to have with our clients this year, so that they can come into that type thing. But a great question, as we say, because we know finances are such a big thing that stress us out in all dimensions of our health and wellness.
Thanks for that, Stuart. And I know we're just coming down to the last minute or so of the webinar. I was going to be ending with a question from Janine asking to explain a little bit more about sweetgrass yoga, which I thought was an easy ball to throw at you. But I'm glad that you gave a little more info. So hopefully, Janine, that answers your question and others. Apologies to those who we didn't get to. There are 2 or 3 questions left that we didn't get to, but what we will do, if the speakers agree, is follow up with email responses to those written responses to those questions. I want to say a huge thanks to our presenters. We really appreciate hearing from you. It's such a privilege for you to be sharing this program with us and the results and some of the learnings from it. Huge thanks as well to Danica and those at the Public Health Agency for continuing to co-host these webinars with us as part of our ongoing webinar series. And of course, thanks to everyone who's joined in on the line. Great questions, wonderful discussions. So we appreciate that and your attention today. So I want to just repeat my thanks to everyone and wishing everyone a good rest of the day.